ready for some Miami Heat basketball with Deron Butler on Kendall Sports Network.
It's Wednesday. You know what that means. It's time for some Miami Heat basketball. I'm Deron Butler, welcoming you to another edition of Heat Zone Live, courtesy of Kendall Sports Network. After feeling the blues against the Utah Jazz 2 nights ago, the Miami Heat are looking for some luck in the Big Easy as they come to New Orleans to take on the New Orleans Pelicans in an inter-conference showdown between two teams based in the Southern United States. The Miami Heat so far this season has been one step forward, 2 steps backwards, whereas the New Orleans Pelicans, well, they're going to find themselves in the draft lottery very soon. But for the Miami Heat themselves, they should have no excuses, especially to that loss against Utah. A tanking team like Utah getting a surprising win over a team that is still in the play-in, even though they have a somewhat better win-loss record compared to the Jazz. That is highly unacceptable. And to make matters even worse, Utah benched their star players in Lauri Markkanen and the recently acquired Jaren Jackson Jr. So that's very damaging for Miami's psyche. I mean, they've had 12 losses since January 1st with a net rate of minus 4.1 rebounds and minus 4.5 points in the paint. I mean, something has to give for Miami. Something has to give, and it has been back and forth, but more back than forth. So the Heat needs to figure something out, and especially with the All-Star break looming in the horizon. And not much can help Miami's woes right now because they're going to be without Norman Powell, who has low back tightness, Pelle Larsson, who has a right forearm strain, Andrew Wiggins with a left toe inflammation, and once again, Tyler Hero is out with a rib injury. But there are no excuses when it comes to the Miami Heat. It's always next man up mentality. And the Heat needs to exhibit that next man up mentality and find a way to get it done tonight against the Pelicans. So with that said, here are my 3 keys for tonight's game. Key number 1, protect the paint. In the last 2 to 3 games for Miami, the Heat need to protect the paint on defense, but they also need to attack it as well. But on the subject of protecting the paint, that is what they need to do, especially against guys like Trey Murphy, Yves Missi, and Zion Williamson. I mean, Zion Williamson right now, he's been playing like a beast. So I will expect Miami to at least contain him in the paint and do their due diligence on defense. Key number 2, attack the paint, but also be ferocious on the boards. This goes back to the Utah game, and of course, other games as well, most recently the Boston game and the game against the Washington Wizards. Miami needs to attack the paint and get offensive rebounds. Yeah, defensive rebounds are good, but you also need defensive rebounds. This is what helps them. This is what's going to help them win games, especially like the ones against the Pelicans. So you're going to not only need Bam Adebayo to be effective on the boards, but you're also going to need Kelly Ware and Nikola Jovic to do the same thing. And the third and final key for tonight's game is play transition game. Play the transition game. That means running up and down the floor, making quick passes, doing fast breaks if you have to. Miami needs to get on a fast break against New Orleans. You can't allow you can't allow the Pelicans to establish anything on both ends of the floor. So it's better to get out on a hot start and then maintain it through the transitional game. So the Heat starting lineup will include Kelaware at center, Bam Adebayo at the 4, Myron Gardner getting another start for the Heat at the 3 spot, and Simone Fontecchio is at the shooting guard position, and Davion Mitchell is our point guard. And as for the New Orleans Pelicans, I did talk about guys like Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson, of course, he's still an all-star. I think he got selected for this year's All-Star game. But he is someone not to take lightly, especially now that he's got a lot of muscle. So even though this New Orleans Pelicans squad is struggling, I would not count them out, especially if they got a highly motivated, very physical Zion Williamson. So right now, we're looking forward to seeing who the starting lineups for the New Orleans Pelicans will be. But right now, the players are warming up for tonight's game, and we will have opening tip-off and the lineups very soon. Keep it locked right here on Heat Zone Live, courtesy of Kindle Sports Network. And we are back. Now look at Kasper Jakajunas, who has made nine consecutive threes. He joins Chris Bosh and Goran Dragic, the only Heat players who have made that amount of threes in this whole season. So Good looking out for Kasper Jakajunas. I see big things on the horizon for him. And of course, the starting lineups for... I already went over the starting lineup for the Miami Heat. The starting lineups for the New Orleans Pelicans include Herb Jones, Sadiq Bey, Derek Queen, Zion Williamson, as I mentioned, and Jordan Poole, I believe. All right, Miami, we have tip-off. The Heat win the tip. Here comes Bam. Bam swings it out to Kel'el Ware. Kel'el Ware goes for the open three. And Kel'el Superboy Ware. 3 from Miami. The Heat are on the board. All right, here comes New Orleans. All right. Derek Queen gives it to Sadiq Bey. Bey is guarded by Simone Fontecchio. Fun fact, both Sadiq Bey and Simone Fontecchio were former Detroit Pistons. All right, Sadiq Bey backing down Fontecchio. Loses the ball, but it goes out of bounds. Last touch by the Pelicans. It'll be Heat ball. All right, Trey Murphy III is also in the starting lineup, for New Orleans. All right, here comes Myron Gardner. Gardner passes out to Bam. Bam getting the uncontested dunk, and that puts the Heat up by 5. All right, here comes New Orleans. Derek Queen gives the ball to his teammate. Thought about going for the 3. Gives it to Sadiq Bey. Sadiq Bey guarded by Davion Mitchell. Out to Trey Murphy III. For 3. And that's going to be an air ball. And that will be Heat ball. All right, here comes Bam for 3. That one rims off. Kel'el Ware tries to rebound, but Simone Fontecchio was there for the rebound and the putback. And the Heat go up by 7. All right, here comes the Pelicans again. Sadiq Bey gets the ball. Misses the layup, and here comes Miami. Myron Gardner brings it up to the floor. Myron Gardner driving in. Thought about going for the dunk. Passes it out to Davion Mitchell. Mitchell, guarded by Bey. Mitchell for 3. That one rims off. Rebound goes to New Orleans. All right, here comes Sadiq Bey. Gives it to Derek Queen. Derek Queen passes it out, but it's intercepted. Here comes the Heat. Bam, finds Gardner. Gardner out to Fontecchio. Fontecchio for 3. That one rims off. Rebound by Derek Queen. Here come the Pelicans again. All right, here comes Zion Williamson getting the uncontested alley-oop to put the Pelicans on the board. All right, here comes Miami. Bam has the ball. Goes for the spin. Almost lost the ball. Pump fake. Passes it out to Fontecchio. Out to Myron Gardner. Gardner, guarded by Bey. Passes it out to Kel'el Ware. Back to Gardner. To Davion Mitchell. Davion Mitchell flying in. Finds Myron Gardner. Gardner for 3. That one rims off. And here comes New Orleans again. And that ball goes sailing out of bounds. It will be Heat ball. All right, Miami has the ball. All right, here comes Davion Mitchell. Mitchell guarded by Sadiq Bey, gives it to Bam, and Bam Adebayo knocks down that three. And the Heat go up by 8. All right, here come the Pelicans. Passes it out. And the Pelicans get the basket. They trail by 6 in this game. Here comes Simone Fontecchio for 3. That one rims off. Rebound by Kelly Ware. And Kelly Ware gets the putback. The Heat go up by 8. Nice basket from Kelly Ware. And that's going to prompt the Pelicans timeout. Right now, the Heat are off to a good start, but we all know that's to be expected with them. Right now, the Heat lead 12-4 in this game. And we are back. Score is 12-4. Miami has the lead. Here come the Pelicans. Sadiq Bey finds Zion Williamson. Zion driving into the lane. Zion gets blocked by Bam. Ball's knocked loose and is recovered by Miami. Here comes Simone Fontecchio. Drives into the lane. Passes it out. Finds Kelly Ware. Kelly Ware gets the dunk. And Miami right now has a 10-point lead. Delaware so far has 7 points in this game. That's a 3 on the way from Sadiq Bey. That one rims off. Rebound goes to Miami. Here comes Myron Gardner. Gardner finds Davion Mitchell. Davion Mitchell drives into the lane. Kicks it out to Fontecchio. Recovered by Myron Gardner. Gardner misses that basket. Rebound by New Orleans. Here comes Trey Murphy III. Ball stolen away by Miami. Here comes Fontecchio. Out to Davion Mitchell. Bam now has the ball. Out to Davion Mitchell. Here comes Davion Mitchell. Gets the easy basket. And the Heat are up by 12. And almost stolen away, but it's going to be Pelicans ball. Right now, Miami has 5 points off turnovers. New Orleans has 0. New Orleans already with 4 turnovers in this quarter. And it looks like we may have ourselves a challenge. Yeah, we're going to have ourselves a coach's challenge. Apparently Myron Gardner. Yeah, apparently Myron Gardner supposedly committed a foul, but the Heat says otherwise. So we will have ourselves a coach's challenge, and we'll be right back for the decision. And we are back. Score is 16-4 Miami. There's a coach's challenge that was previously called. Apparently after the New Orleans inbound the ball, Myron Gardner was fighting for it with another Pelicans player. So Miami won the challenge and they get possession of the ball. All right, here comes Myron Gardner. Gardner kicks it out to Fontecchio for 3. That one rims off. Rebound by New Orleans. There's a 3 on the way. That one rims off. Rebound goes to Miami. Here comes Kel Elware. Gives it to Myron Gardner. To Davion Mitchell. Mitchell to Hawkes. To Fontecchio. Back to Hawkes. Hawkes finds Davion Mitchell. Mitchell to Hawkes. Hawkes for three. That one rims off. Rebound goes to New Orleans. All right, the Pelicans are swinging the ball around. They find the open man, and that's going to be a layup for the Pelicans. All right, right now, here comes Myron Gardner for the corner three, and Myron MG3 Gardner 3 for Miami. He go up by 13. All right, here comes Derek Queen. Queen kicks it out. All right, Morley still swinging the ball around. Hold on, we have some technical difficulties on our end. We'll be back for a second. All right. All right, we're back in action. Miami is leading 22-13. Hold on for a second again. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. Score is 24-17 Miami. Here comes Bam. Bam loses the ball, but he gets fouled. That's going to be a reach-in foul on New Orleans. McGowan was the one who got caught in the cookie jar. So far, Miami has a hold on this game. Let's see if they can continue to maintain it. All right, Miami will have a side out. Drew Smith and Kasper Jakajunas are also in the game, along with Hawkes and Nikola Jovic. And there's a layup from Jaime Hawkes Jr. The Heat go up by 9 in this one. Here comes Zion Williamson. Zion is double teamed, passes it out. Ready to give it to Sadiq Bey. Sadiq Bey misses the layup. Rebound by Bam. Here comes Kasper Jakajunas. Long three. That one rims off. Rebound to Hawkes, and Hawkes gets the layup. And the Heat go up by 11. All right, here comes New Orleans. That's a three on the way. That one rims off. But it's a putback for the Pelicans. All All right, here comes Drew Smith. And I think that's going to be a foul on the Pelicans. I think that one's going to be on Kevon Looney. Jeremiah Fears is also in the game for New Orleans. All right, here comes Hawkins. Finds Casper Siaka Jr. for three. And that one rims off. All right, here comes Zion Williamson. Williamson kicks it out to Jeremiah Fears. And Jeremiah Fears finds the basket. And the Pelicans trail by 7. Here comes Hawkins for 3. That one rims off. Rebound by New Orleans. All right, here comes Zion. Finds Sadiq Bey. Gives it to Jeremiah Fears. Jeremiah Fears goes baseline but gets blocked. And here comes... Yeah, that's going to be a foul on New Orleans. Hopefully nothing bad happened to Nikola Jovic. All right, Nikola Jovic makes the first free throw. And he goes 1 of 2 from the line. Here comes New Orleans. Jeremiah Fears, guarded by Drew Smith, finds Zion. Back to Jeremiah Fears. New Orleans swinging the ball around. They find Sadiq Bey. Zion almost thought about putting Drew Smith on a poster, but instead he goes for the layup. And I think that's going to be that should be an and one opportunity for Zion Williamson. That should be an and one opportunity. Let me see it again. Zion Williamson thought about going for a dunk on Drew Smith, but instead gets the layup. He's furious about the referees not calling a foul. That should have been a foul. That should have been a foul on Drew Smith. All right, Miami will inbound the ball. Drew Smith has it. All right, they give it to Bam. Here comes Bam. Gets fouled and he will go to the line for 2 free throws. All right, so Bam will go to the line for 2 free throws. He knocks down the first. And Bam makes 12 free throws. Here comes Jeremiah Fears going coast to coast. Getting the layup to beat the buzzer, of course. And that's going to end the first quarter. Jeremiah showing zero miedo, zero fear after that layup to beat the buzzer. And I'm sure that's going to help the Pelicans out in a big way. So at the end of the first quarter, Miami has a 6-point lead. They are ahead 31-25. And we are back. Score is 31-25. Miami has the lead. Here come the Pelicans. Zion Williamson brings it up to the floor. Pelicans swinging the ball around. They find Saddiq Bey. Bey's in the paint, guarded by Hawkes. Blocked by Jovic, but it will go out of bounds. All right. New Orleans will inbound the ball. Jeremiah Fears airballs the basket. Here comes Bam. All right, Miami. Hawkes has it. Hawkes almost lost the ball. Gives it back to Bam. Bam goes for three. That one rims off. Rebound by New Orleans. Here comes Jeremiah Fears. New Orleans swinging the ball around to give it to Zion. Zion guarded by Hawkes. They pass it back out to Jeremiah Fears. Jeremiah Fears gets fouled and he will go to the... And that should be a side out for the Pelicans. All right, here comes Kevon Looney. Gives it to Zion. Zion charges into the paint. Gets double teamed. Passes it out. Jeremiah Fears for three. That's another air ball. Here comes Miami. Jaime Hawkes Jr. Passes the ball away, but Bam gets tripped up by Herb Jones. That's going to be a foul on the Pelicans. All right, here comes Hawkes. Finds Casper Jakajunas. Ball goes sailing in the air. Goes right back to New Orleans. Zion goes coast to coast for that dunk with a nice assist from Jeremiah Fears. And New Orleans is within 4. All right, here comes Drew Smith. Drew Smith trying to get into the lane. Passes it out to Bam. Bam guarded by Kevon Looney. Fades away. That one rims off. Rebound goes to New Orleans. Here comes Jeremiah Fears. Going coast to coast again. Kicks it out to Saddiq Bey for 3. That one rims off. Rebound by Miami. Here comes Jaime Hawkes Jr. Hawkes kicks it out to Bam for 3. And that one rims off. Alright, here comes Jeremiah Fears. New Orleans trailing by 4. Gives it to Zion. Zion knocks it down. And the Pelicans are within 2. Zion Williams right now with 8 points. Going 50% from the field. 80% from the field, excuse me. Miami swinging the ball around. There's a 3 on the way. And Nikola Jovic. 3 from Miami. Love that for him. The Heat lead by 5 in this game. Right now, New Orleans leading away in bench points with 11 points to Miami's 10. Miami comes up with another rebound. All right, here comes Hawkes. Hawkes looking to go into the lane. Misses that layup. Rebound by New Orleans. Here comes Zion Williamson. Gives it to Saddiq Bey. Bey guarded by Jakajunas. Bey missing that layup, and here comes Miami. Drew Smith finds Bam. Bam goes for 3. That one also misses. Rebound by New Orleans. Jeremiah Fears kicks it out to Saddiq Bey. Finds Zion Williamson. Williamson guarded by Bam. And Zion gets the basket. The Pelicans are now within 3. All right, here comes Drew Smith. Gets fouled and will go for the and one. Gets fouled and goes for the and one. That foul's going to be on Jeremiah Fears. And Drew Smith misses the and one opportunity. Here comes New Orleans. Zion Williamson, guarded by Hawkins. Zion Williamson gets into the lane and gets a layup. And now the Pelicans trail by 3. Here comes Hawkins. Hawkins finds Bam. Bam, another 3. And Bam Adebayo knocks it down. And the Heat go up by 6. Bam Adebayo already with 10 points, shooting 33% from downtown. And that's a 3 in return from the Pelicans. New Orleans trailing by 3 in this game. Here comes Bam. Bam gets fouled and he will go to the line for 2 free throws. Foul's going to be on Kevon Looney. All right. Bam is at the line for New Orleans, from Miami, excuse me. Bam knocks down the first free throw. And Bam goes 1 of 2 from the line. All right, here come the Pelicans. That's a 3 on the way. That one rims off. Rebound goes to Bam. Here comes Nikola Jovic. Bam finds Davion Mitchell. Davion Mitchell kicks it out to Drew Smith. Bam now has it. Loses the ball, and here comes New Orleans again, getting the basket. That was Jeremiah Fears. Jeremiah Fears going coast to coast. Alley-oops it to a teammate. But then Jeremiah Fears gets the basket. Right now, the Pelicans are on a roll as the Heat lead 40-38. And we are back. Score is 40-38. Miami has a slim lead in this one. New Orleans are starting to come back in this one. Zion Williamson having 12 points, shooting 6 for 8 from the field. Here comes Davion Mitchell, guarded by Jeremiah Fears. Kelly Ware sets the screen. Mitchell finds Fontecchio for 3. That one rims off. Myron Gardner getting there, but it's too late. So that will be out of bounds. Pelicans ball. All right, here comes Jeremiah Fears. Fears kicks it out. And that's going to be a foul on the Heat. So 2 free throws for New Orleans. Number 11 will go to the line for the Pelicans. I think that was McGovern. All right, New Orleans knocks down the first free throw. And New Orleans ties the game at 40 with those 2 free throws. All right, here comes Nikola Jovic. Finds Myron Gardner. Ball rims out, and here comes New Orleans. Jeremiah Fears kicks it out to McGovern for 3. That one rims off. Rebound by Kelly Ware. And he's going coast to coast. Slows down for a second. Finds Simone Fontecchio. Out to Jovic for the uncontested 3. That one rims off. Rebound by Jeremiah Fears. Here comes New Orleans again. Almost loses the ball. Give it right back to McGovern. And that's going to lead to a timeout. Right now, the Pelicans have come back to tie this one up at 40, but Miami needs to find a way to get themselves back on offense. And we are back. We're all tied at 40 in this game. New Orleans has the ball. Pelicans find Trey Murphy. Trey Murphy gets fouled and he will go to the line for 2 free throws. All right. Trey Murphy at the line for the Pelicans. Trey Murphy knocks down the first, giving New Orleans their first lead of the game. And he makes both free throws. New Orleans now have a 2-point lead. Here comes Davion Mitchell, guarded by Jeremiah Fears. Passes it out to Jaime Jaquez Jr. Jaime Jaquez driving in. Gets the basket, and we're all tied at 42. Here comes Jeremiah Fears. Fears kicks it out to Derek Queen. Gives it to McGovern. McGovern out to Trey Murphy. Murphy guarded by Jaquez. Derek Queen gets fouled, and he will go to the line for 2 free throws. Foul's going to be on Kel'el Ware. Again, Derek Queen getting tangled up with Kel'el Ware. That sends him to the line. Derek Queen knocks down the first free throw, giving New Orleans the lead again. Saddiq Bey now in the game for the Pelicans. And Derek Queen gets both free throws. New Orleans are back in front by 2. Here comes Davion Mitchell. I'll take you. That's the Pelicans. It'll be heat ball. All right, here comes Jaquez. Jaquez with the fadeaway. Rims off. Myron Gardner wasn't able to get to the ball in time, so it'll be out of bounds. New Orleans ball. All right, here comes the Pelicans. Derek Queen, guarded by Kel'el Ware. Gives it to Jeremiah Fears. Fears, guarded by Davion Mitchell. Ball goes sailing out of bounds. Last touch by the Heat. Still remains Pelicans ball. All right, here comes Trey Murphy again, and that's another basket for New Orleans. The Pelicans now lead by 4 in this one. New Orleans right now on a 10-2 run, and there goes Jaquez for 3. Misses the basket. Rebound by Myron Gardner. Finds Davion Mitchell for 3. And good night, off night. Davion Mitchell 3 for Miami as the Heat trail by 1. All right, here comes Trey Murphy. Trey Murphy passes it out to Saddiq Bey for 3. And that one rims off. Rebound by Myron Gardner. Here comes Davion Mitchell. Mitchell driving into the lane. Misses the basket. Rebound by New Orleans. Jeremiah Fears has the ball. Guarded by Myron Gardner. Jeremiah Fears driving into the lane. Gets his shot blocked, but that ball's going to go out of bounds. Last touch by Miami. Myron Gardner, I think he came up with that block, but he was trying to avoid the ball from going out of bounds, touching his body. All right, Myron Gardner will come out of the game for the Heat. And Jaime Jaquez Jr. comes up with a rebound. Passes it out to Fontecchio for 3. rims off, rebound by Callaware, and he gets the layup and the putback. And Miami has retaken the lead. So I think that's going to be a technical foul on New Orleans. Yeah, technical foul on Zion Williamson. That will send Simone Fontecchio to the line. And Fontecchio knocks down that technical free throw. Nice effort on the boards by Callaware to come up with that rebound and a layup. All right, here comes Trey Murphy. Trey Murphy with the fadeaway, and he knocks it down. And we're all tied up at 48. All right, here comes Jaime Jaquez Jr. Jaquez drives in, gets the layup, and the Heat are back in front. Jaime Jaquez Jr. right now with 10 points, shooting 50% from the field. Here comes Derek Queen. Gives it to Trey Murphy the third. Sadiq Bey passes it out. And Miami comes up with a steal. Miami on a fast break. Here they come. Jaime Jaquez Jr. with the jam. And the Heat go up by 4. Miami right now, they're on a 10-2 run of their own. All right, here come the Pelicans. That's a 3 on the way. That rims off. Rebound goes to Sadiq Bey. Here goes Trey Murphy the third. Ball goes back to Miami. Here comes, you're gonna Heat. Jaime Jaquez flying in, gets fouled, and he will go to the line for 2 free throws. All right, Jaime Jaquez Jr. looked to be a little shaken up after getting hit in the face. Yeah, Jaime Jaquez thought about going for the dunk, but then gets hit by Herb Jones. All right, we're going to have ourselves a review to see if that was a flagrant foul or not. And we are back. After the referee's review, it is going to be a flagrant foul on Herb Jones. So that's going to be a flagrant foul on Herb Jones. So that should send Jaime Jaquez to the line for 2 technical free throws. Jaquez knocks down the first free throw. And Jaquez makes the second free throw. So right now Miami leads by 6 as they are now on a 12-2 run. Right, Myron Gardner has the ball. Finds Fontecchio. Fontecchio Out to Bam. Here comes Bam. Bam gets fouled and he will go to the line for 2 more free throws. Right now, that's what I need to do. Get into the paint, draw fouls, and get to the free throw line. That's going to help their offense. All right, here we go. Bam knocks down the first free throw. And Bam makes both free throws. So right now Miami is leading by 7 in this one. Here come the Pelicans. They give it to Saddiq Bey. They finds Trey Murphy for 3. Rebound by Miami. Alright, here comes Bam. Bam going for the 3. Nope. Passes it out to Jaime Jaquez. Finds Kel'el Ware. Kel'el Ware gets tangled up a bit. Loses the ball. And now here comes New Orleans. Alright, here comes Saddiq Bey for the corner 3. And he knocks it down. And right now the Pelicans trail by 5 in this one. Alright, here comes Miami. Bam, driving into the lane. And he gets the basket. Right now the Heat are up by 7. Here comes Zion. Zion finds Trey Murphy. Gives it to Derek Queen. Derek Queen drives in, gets the basket. And New Orleans are within 5 again. Alright, Jaime Jaquez Jr. passes it out to Davion Mitchell. Finds Bam. Bam guarded by Zion. Gives it to Jaime Jaquez for 3. That one rims off. And that ball goes out of bounds. It will be New Orleans ball. All right, here come the Pelicans. Zion brings it up to the floor. All right, Zion taking his time. Guarded by, kicks it out to Trey Murphy. Back to Williamson. And Zion gets the layup. And the Pelicans trail by 3. Here comes Jaquez. And that's going to end the first half. After a back and forth sequence between these two teams, Miami has a lead 55. This whole first half saw Miami take a big lead, only for New Orleans to make a comeback. And while Miami did lead 31-25 by the end of the first quarter, the Pelicans came marching right back to make it a game. Not only that, going on a 10-2 run led by Jeremiah Fears, Trey Murphy, and Zion Williamson. But then Miami got back to their defensive mentality, and that led to a 10-2 run led by Davion Mitchell, Jaime Jaquez Jr., and Kel'el Ware. What also helped Miami out was technical free throws and getting to the free throw line itself in general. So that's what Miami needs to do more of. Attacking the paint, driving in, drawing fouls, and getting to the free throw line. That's going to help their offense. Meanwhile, on the defensive end, they're capable of getting defensive rebounds. They're capable of getting stops, especially against this New Orleans Pelicans team. So right now it's halftime. I'm going to take myself a break, but when I come back, I'm going to cover the third quarter. And we are back. The third quarter is on the way. Miami now head 60-55. Davion Mitchell getting an alley-oop to Kello Ware. All right, here comes Davion Mitchell. Gives the ball to Simone Fontecchio. Fontecchio guarded by Trey Murphy. And I think that's going to be a defensive three in the key on the Pelicans. Sorry, that's going to be a defensive foul on New Orleans. So Miami will have a side out instead. And there's Bam with the fadeaway jumper, and that puts Miami up 62-55. Here comes Zion, guarded by Bam. Gives it to Derek Queen, and Derek Queen gets a layup over Kello Ware. He was looking for the foul, but doesn't get it. Here comes Bam. Bam for three. And rebound by Myron Gardner. Davion Mitchell finds Simone Fontecchio. Fontecchio threw the ball right into the hands of Trey Murphy, and it bounces off. Goes right out of bounds, and it will be heat ball. Miami right now with 8 offensive rebounds to New Orleans at 3. And there's Davion Mitchell missing that 3. Ball recovered by the Pelicans. All right, here comes Trey Murphy III. Misses that basket, rebound by Simone Fontecchio. Fontecchio gives it to Bam. Bam goes for 3. That's an air ball. And that one goes out of bounds. Last touch by the Heat. It will be Pelicans ball. All right, here comes Zion Williamson. Williamson loses the ball, and here comes Myron Gardner. Gives it to Davion Mitchell. Mitchell finds Bam. Bam trying to go to the lane, but he gets fouled. I thought for sure that was going to be a poster for Bam. So Bam will go to the line for 2 free throws. I mean, had that connected, that would have got the Heat off their seats. Bam knocks down the first free throw. And Bam goes 1 of 2 from the line. All right, here comes Sadiq Bey answering back with a 3 of his own. And that brings the Pelicans within 3. Sadiq Bey with 6 points, shooting 20% from the field. And that ball goes out of bounds. Last touch by the Pels. It will be Heat ball. All right, here comes Davion Mitchell. Mitchell's guarded by Derek Queen. Kello Ware is double teamed. Kicks it out. Gives it to Kello Ware. Davion Mitchell, excuse me. Fontecchio for 3. That one rims off. Rebound by Kello Ware. He gives it to Myron Gardner. Gardner finding Davion Mitchell. Here's Fontecchio. Bam, out to Davion Mitchell for 3. And that one rims off. Rebound by Bam. Bam gives it to Davion Mitchell. And good night, off night, Davion Mitchell, 3 for Miami. And that's going to give the Heat a 6-point lead as the Pelicans take a timeout. So far, the rebounding's been good for Miami. And so has the 3-point shooting. Miami is up ahead, 66-60. And we are back. Score is 66-60. Miami has the lead. Right now, Davion Mitchell is atop the top three for assists and turnover leaders for this season, joining Peyton Pritchard of the Boston Celtics. Right now, the Pelicans have the ball. Here comes Saddiq Bey, guarded by Bam. Here comes, gives it to Derek Queen. And that one rims off. Rebound by Bam. And here comes Miami. Davion Mitchell slows it down. Gives it to Simone Fontecchio. Fontecchio recovers. Gives it to Bam for the corner 3. That one rims off. Rebound goes to New Orleans. Delaware couldn't get a hold of it. And Trey Murphy gets the layup. And he goes down hard. So that will send Trey Murphy the third to the line for the and 1. Davion Mitchell was the one that came up with that foul. And Trey Murphy comes up with the and 1, and that will bring the Pelicans within 3. All right, here comes Bam. Bam gives it to Fontecchio for 3. And Simone La Dolce Vita Fontecchio 3. Miami goes up by 6. All right, here goes Zion Williamson. Williamson drives in. Couldn't get the basket, but he does over Kel'el Ware. And he will go to the line for the and one. Zion Williamson asserting himself in that battle of the Titans against both Bam and Kel'el Ware. Zion Williamson now with 16 points, shooting 8 for 11 from the field. And he knocks down the and one. All right, here comes Davion Mitchell. Gives it to Fontecchio. Fontecchio finds Davion Mitchell. Myron Gardner. Back to Fontecchio. Fontecchio finds Bam. Bam fades away. And that's going to be a foul on New Orleans. That will send Bam to the line for 2 free throws. All right, here comes Bam. Knocks down the first free throw. And Bam makes both free throws. So we now have a 5-point lead for Miami. Here come New Orleans. Zion has the ball. Drives in. Gets blocked by Kel'el Ware. And here comes Miami. Davion Mitchell. Finds Kel'el Ware. Kel'el Ware missing the layup. Fighting for the rebound. Recovered by Myron Gardner. Fontecchio for 3. And Simone La Dolce Vita. Fontecchio. Another 3 for Miami. And the Heat go up by 8. Myron Gardner with 3 points and 9 rebounds so far in this game. Fontecchio shooting 12 points. Going 33% from downtown. And there's another layup for Zion Williamson as the Pelicans trail by 6. Myron Gardner corner 3, and Myron MG3 Gardner 3 for Miami. The threes are starting to fall for the Heat. Myron Gardner right now with 6 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists. Could he be on a double-double watch? Let's find out. Derek Queen getting the layup over Kel'el Ware. Here comes Davion Mitchell. Mitchell guarded by Trey Murphy. That one rims off. Rebound by Sadiq Bey in New Orleans. And that's a 3 on the way for Trey Murphy. That one rims off. That one's going to go out of bounds on the Pelicans, so it'll be Heat ball. All right, here comes Miami. All right, here comes Hawkins with the fadeaway, and he gets it. Jaime Hawkins Jr. bringing the Heat up to 9 with that lead. Hawkins now with 16 points in this game. All right, here comes Kevon Looney. Gets his own rebound and the putback. New Orleans trailing by 7 in this one. All right, here comes the Heat. Kel'el Ware going for the 3. And that one rims off. Rebound by Fontecchio. Gives it to Hawkins. Hawkins to Fontecchio for the uncontested 3. That one rims off. Rebound by Myron Gardner, and that's going to be a foul. Not sure who was the foul on, but Miami will have it side out. I think that one's going to be on Kevon Looney. All right, Davion Mitchell will come out of the game for Miami. Casper Siakam is now in. Here comes Siakam for three. That one rims out, but Siakam gets fouled, and he will go to the line for 3 free throws. Hold on. The officials will take a look at it, so it's under review. And we are back. So Trey Murphy's common foul has been upgraded to a flagrant. So right now that's 3 flagrant fouls. I'm sorry, that's 2 flagrant fouls for New Orleans, plus that technical foul that was on Zion Williamson. So right now that's going to lead to free throws for the Heat. Casper Siakam knocks down the first technical free throw. Siakam knocks down the second technical free throw. And he makes all 3 technical free throws. And if I said it once, I'll say it again. You don't foul a shooter when they're going for the 3. McGowan is also in the game for New Orleans. Here comes Hawkins. Flies in, gets the ball, gets his own rebound, I should say. Here comes Fontecchio. Flying in, gets his shot blocked, and here comes New Orleans. Jeremiah Pierce going for the alley-oop connection, but doesn't get it. Miami going for the same thing, but they recover their own ball. And that's going to be Casper's, the friendly ghost Siakam, a 3 from Miami. And the Heat right now are up by 13 in this one. All right, here comes McGowan's. I called him McGovern earlier, but McGowan's will go to the line for 2 free throws. All right, McGowan's making the first free throw. All right, Drew Smith is back in the game for Miami. He replaces Simone Fontecchio. And McGowan makes both free throws. Right now, here comes Miami. Myron Gardner has the ball. He drives in, gets the basket, and Miami has a 11-point lead. I'm sorry, they have a 13-point lead, excuse me. All right, rebound by Kel'el Ware. Here comes Miami again. Passes it out to Kel'el Ware. And Kel'el Ware gets the basket. And that gives him a double-double, 13 points and 11 rebounds in this game. He is shooting 6 for 14 from the field. Miami goes up by 15. Here comes Jeremiah Fears. Gives it to Kevon Looney. Back to Fears. Fears with the runner, and he gets it. New Orleans is trailing by 13 in this one. Here comes Yaka Junis. Passes it out to Gardner. Gardner out to Drew Smith. Drew Smith finds Kel'el Ware. And Kel'el Superboy Ware. 3 for Miami. Kel'el Ware now with 16 points. Shooting 66% from downtown. And the Pelicans answer back with a 3 of their own. All right, here comes Drew Smith. Smith guarded by Fears. Kicked it out to Hawkins. Hawkins with a pump fake, misses the basket. Rebound goes to New Orleans. Here comes Trey Murphy. Trey Murphy for 3. And he knocks it down. And that's going to prompt the Heat timeout. So after the Heat's 10-4 run comes to an end, the Pelicans come roaring back with a pair of threes, but Miami still leads 92-82. And we are back. Miami leads 92-82 in this game. So far, so good for Miami. They are getting their rebounding on both ends of the floor, plus getting some three-pointers. Kelly Ware, he's having himself a game with 13 points and 11 rebounds. Of course, Myron Gardner, he's on a double-double watch with 6 points and 9 rebounds. Here comes Tommy Hawkins Jr. Hawkins finds Yakajunas, finds Drew Smith. Drew Smith drives in, gets his shot blocked, and here comes New Orleans. Sadiq Bey, guarded by Bam. Sadiq Bey has nowhere to pass it to, gets it to McGowan's. Here comes Jeremiah Fears. Fears gives it to Kevon Looney. Misses the layup, and here comes Miami. Tommy Hawkins Jr. kicks it out to Yakajunas. Yakajunas gives it to Drew Smith. Drew Smith in the paint, but he manages to get the basket off in time. He was well parked in the paint for a long time. Miami now leads by 12 in this game. The Heat have 30 bench points to New Orleans 24. The Pelicans have 44 points in the paint to Miami's 40. Here comes Zion Williamson. Making another basket for the Pelicans. They're back within 10. And there's Tommy Hawkins Jr. answering back for Miami. All right, here comes the Pelicans. Jeremiah Fears for a long three, and that misses. Here comes Miami again. Tommy Hawkins Jr. lobs it up. Kelly Ware unable to get it. Here comes the Pelicans. And McGowan's will go to the line for 2 free throws. McGowan's is out the line. McGowan's missing the first free throw. And McGowan's will go 1 of 2 from the line. Miami now having an 11-point lead. Here comes Drew Smith. Smith guarded by McGowan's. He finds Bam. Bam guarded by Zion. Bam missing the basket, and that's going to end the third quarter. After a good back and forth sequence between these two teams, Miami then jumped out on a 10-4 run, and that leads us to a 96-85 lead for Miami. We have the fourth quarter coming up, so don't go anywhere else. And we are back. Score is 96-85. Miami has the lead. And entering the fourth quarter, here comes Jaime Jaquez Jr. bringing it up to the floor for Miami. Guarded by Jeremiah Fears. Jaquez missing the basket. Rebound goes to Jeremiah Fears. He's going coast to coast. Drives in and misses the layup. Here comes Jaquez. Jaquez gives it to Yakajunas. Yakajunas with the step back. Passes it out to Jaquez. To Drew Smith. To Bam. Bam guarded by Herb Jones. Picks it out to Jaquez. Drew Smith with not much time left. Gets fouled and he will go to the line for 2 free throws. Sorry, it's going to be side out for Miami. Kasper Yakajunas has the ball. Here comes Yakajunas. Drives in, and he gets the layup. And now Miami leads by 13. All right, here comes Zion. Zion passes it out to Jeremiah Fears. Fears guarded by Jaquez. Gives it to McGowans. Back to Fears. Fears back to McGowan. McGowan's for 3. And he knocks it down. And that's now a 10-point lead for Miami. Bryce McGowan's with 8 points, shooting 33% from downtown. And that ball goes out of bounds. Last touch by the Heat. It'll be Pelicans ball. All right, here comes Jeremiah Fears. Gives it to Sadiq Bey for 3. And Sadiq Bey knocks it down. And that's going to prompt a Heat timeout. It's already the fourth quarter, and the Pelicans starting to make their comeback. Miami leads 98-91. And we are back. Here's your fourth quarter follow-up. The Heat have 15 offensive rebounds with 22 second chance points. Meanwhile, Zion Williamson, he's going off with 21 points, getting 10 for 14 from the field. And of course, the Heat are without Tyler Hero, Andrew Wiggins, Norman Powell and Pella Larson. So right now Miami has the lead. It's a 7-point lead. Here comes Hawkes. Hawkes missing the basket, but he will go to the line for 2 free throws. All right, Hawkes now at the line. He misses the first free throw. And he goes 1 of 2 from the line. So the Heat lead by 8 in this one. Here comes Jeremiah Fears. Fears finds Zion. Back to Fears. Fears driving into the lane. Kicks it out. Gives it to Sadiq Bey. Sadiq Bey drives into the lane. And that's going to be an offensive foul on the Pelicans, so it'll be Heat ball. Let's look at it again. Drew Smith getting there just in the nick of time. Crashing right in, while Sadiq Bey crashes right into him. All right, here comes the Heat. Nikola Jovic now in the game for Miami. That ball goes sailing out of bounds, and it will be Heat ball. Drew Smith will go to the line for 2 free throws. Drew Smith knocks down the first free throw. And he makes both free throws. So it's now a 10-point lead for Miami. All right, here comes Jeremiah Fears. All right, Fears finds McGowans. McGowans drives in, gets the layup. And the Pelicans trail by 8. So far in this game, Miami has 38 bench points to New Orleans is 30. And there's Bam, and he will get fouled and will go to the line for 2 free throws. All right. Bam, so far in this game, he has 20 points, shooting 8 from 11 from the field. He knocks down that first free throw. And Bam makes both free throws. So right now, the Heat have a 10-point lead. Here comes Jeremiah Fears. Fears kicks it out to McGowans. McGowans to Zion. Zion drives into the lane. Rebound by Bam. Here come the Heat. Bam already with 22 points and 7 rebounds. Hawkes gives it back to Bam. Bam, back to Hawkes. Hawkes for 3. That one rims off. Rebound goes to Bryce McGowans. He's going coast to coast. He misses the layup and he gets fouled. McGowans will go to the line for 2 free throws. All right, McGowans knocks down the first free throw. And McGowans makes both free throws. So right now the Pelicans trail by 8. Here comes Tommy Hawkins Jr. Gives it to Jovic. Jovic passes it out to Bam. Bam gets his own rebound. Yaka Jr. for 3. Rims out. All right, and here comes Zion Williamson. Ball stolen away, and here comes the Heat. Nikola Jovic getting that basket, and that's going to prompt a Pelicans timeout. Nice fast break performance from Miami. Right now, Miami's defense is bringing them back into this game. And a nice razzle-dazzle play from Yaka Jr. to Jovic as the Heat go up by 10. 105-95 is your score. And we are back. Yes, sorry. And we are back. Miami has a 10-point lead in this game. Ball's knocked loose, and here comes the Heat again. Tommy Hawkins Jr. finds Jovic. Jovic back to Hawkins. Hawkins to Drew Smith. Here comes Kasper Yakajunas. Yakajunas gets the basket, and he will go to the line for the and one. Miami right now are thriving in the paint, and they are thriving on defense. Yaka Junas right now, he is going off. Yaka Junas right now, he is going off, and he is feeling it right now. All right, Kasper Yaka Junas will go to the line. And he knocks down the and one. So right now it's a 13-point lead for Miami. All right, here comes the Pelicans. There's a three on the way. That one rims off. Rebound goes to Miami. Here comes Bam. Bam guarded by Derek Queen. Gives it to Hawkins. Hawkins guarded by McGowens, excuse me. And there's Jaime Hawkins Jr. again, and this time the Heat go up by 15. Alright, here comes Jeremiah Fears. Fears with the fadeaway. He misses. Rebound by Miami. Jaime Hawkins Jr. looking to go into the lane. Misses it. But it's rebound by Saddiq Bey. Going coast to coast. Gets blocked by Bam, and here comes Hawkins. Hawkins gives it to Jovic. Jovic driving in. And he gets the layup. Nicely done by Nikola Jovic. Love that for him, man. And Miami's lead goes up to 17. And that's going to prompt another timeout for the New Orleans Pelicans. Miami's defense is propelling the Heat's offense, and they are just bringing it to the Pelicans as they lead 112-95. And we are back. The Pelicans starting to make a run of their own as that three falls for them. All right, here comes Hawkins. Hawkins guarded by Saddiq Bey. Hawkins is directing traffic. Gives it to Kasper Siakam-Junis. Here comes Siakam-Junis. Gives it to Bam. Bam looking for someone to pass it to. Instead, he goes for the basket. He misses. Rebound goes to Saddiq Bey. Saddiq Bey gives it to Jeremiah Fears. Here comes Fears, driving in, and he gets a layup. And right now, the Pelicans trail by 12 in this game. Here comes Hawkins. Finds Bam. Bam guarded by Derek Queen. Rebound by Jeremiah Fears. Kicks it out to Saddiq Bey for three. And Saddiq Bey finds the net. And that's going to cause a timeout for Miami. 1 minute, Miami has a big lead. The next, the Pelicans come storming back. Right now, Miami has a 112-103 lead. But the Heat will need to find a way to hold on to that lead or build upon it. So it looks like it's going to be a 30-second timeout for Miami. Right now, Jaime Hawkins Jr., he's on a double-double watch. He has 21 points, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 2 steals. Going 9 for 20 from the field. So right now, Jaime Hawkins Jr., he's doing it all for the Heat off the bench. Meanwhile, you have other players like Kasper Siakam-Junis, Bam Adebayo. They are delivering for Miami right now. So right now, as things stand in the Eastern Conference for Miami, they're still in 8th place a game and a half behind the Orlando Magic, and they are 2 games ahead of the Atlanta Hawks. And right now, the Charlotte Hornets, they have the 10th seed, so that means they could find themselves in the play-in along with Miami, Atlanta, and Orlando. All right, here comes Tommy Hawkins Jr. Gives it to Nikola Jovic. And the ball is stolen away by Herb Jones. And Herb Jones gets the basket. And right now, the Pelicans are on a 10-0 run. Miami cannot afford to blow this lead. Herb Jones right now with 7 points, shooting 60% from the field. And there's Bam getting the easy bucket. The Pelicans were looking for an out of bounds, but doesn't get it. All right, here comes Jeremiah Fears. Gives it to Herb Jones. Back to Fears. Here comes Sadiq Bey. Queen sets the screen. Jeremiah Fears for 3. That one rims off. Rebound by Miami. All right, here comes Tommy Hawkins Jr. Finds Nikola Jovic. Back to Hawkins. Goes back to Bam. Here comes Bam. He gets fouled and will go to the line for 2 free throws. The Pelicans are hurting themselves with these fouls. The Pelicans are hurting themselves with these fouls right now. And it has not been a good performance for them on the defensive end. All right, we're going to have ourselves a 30-second timeout. Miami right now, they're leading 114-105. So far in this game, the Heat's leaders in points are Bam with 24 points, Tommy Hawkins Jr. with 21, Kelaware with 15 points. So far, everyone in New Orleans is in a festive mood because it's Mardi Gras season. But the good times aren't rolling inside the Smoothie King Center, at least not for the Pelicans. All right, Bam is going back to the line for 2 free throws. All right, here we go. So I guess that's an and one opportunity for Bam. So right now it is a 10-point game for Miami. Here comes Herb Jones. Gives it to Jeremiah Fears. Fears got it by Hawkins. Zion sets the screen. Herb Jones finds Zion and he gets a layup. And Zion will go to the line for the and one. So far the Pelicans have been trying to make this one an interesting game. And Zion Williamson, so far, he has been a force on both ends of the floor. And Zion misses the and one. Rebound by Bam. Here come the Heat. Here comes Simone Fontecchio. Gives it to Casper Siakam Jr. for the corner 3. That one rims off. Rebound goes to Bam. Bam finds Hawkins. Here comes Hawkins. Hawkins kicks it up to Fontecchio for 3. That one rims off. Rebound by Bam, but he steps out of bounds. So that would be Pelicans ball. All right, here comes Jeremiah Fears. Fears to Zion. Zion to Herb Jones. Back to Zion. Zion driving in. And this one will go to Miami. Nice rebound by Kasper Yakajunas. All right, here comes Hawkins. Hawkins in the lane. Hawkins missing that basket. Rebound by Jeremiah Fears. Fears looking to get into the lane. Passes it out to Derek Queen for 3. That one rims out. Rebound goes to Bam. The Pelicans right now on a 12-3 run, but Miami's looking to answer back with baskets of their own. And it's stolen away by New Orleans. And here they come. Jeremiah Fears drives in, misses the layup. Rebound by Bam. All right, here comes Davion Mitchell. All right, Davion passes it out to Bam. Bam. In the lane. Misses it. Rebound goes to New Orleans, but they step out of bounds. It will be Heat ball. All right, here come the Heat. And Simone Fontecchio steps out of bounds. So that would be Pelicans ball. Miami right now with 6 turnovers to New Orleans is 13. Here comes Sadiq Bey. He gets fouled and he will go to the line for 2 free throws. And the let's go Heat chants ring out in New Orleans. As Sadiq Bey knocks down the first free throw. Heat Nation is represented everywhere we go. And Sadiq Bey knocks down both free throws. Right now it's a 6-point game for the Heat, as the Pelicans are on a 14-3 run. Here comes Davion Mitchell. Ball goes sailing out of bounds. Last touch by the Pelicans. It'll be Heat ball. All right, Miami will inbound the ball. And that's going to be a 5-second violation on Miami. They took too long, and that's going to be that's going to be a turnover for the Heat. Pelicans have the ball now. And Zion gets a putback, so now it's a 4-point game. Zion Williamson right now with 23 points. Right now, the Pelicans are on a 16-3 run, and Miami needs to put up some baskets and fast. Here comes Davion Mitchell. Kicks it out. Simone Fontecchio for 3. And Simone La Dolce Vita Fontecchio. 3 for Miami. And that is a much-needed basket for the Heat as the Pelicans call timeout. Just when you thought the Heat was ready to blow another lead late in the game, here comes Simone Fontecchio with a corner 3 to save the Heat. Or at least for now, because they lead 118-111. And we are back. Score is 118 to 111. Miami right now have a 7-point lead in this game. The Pelicans will have it side out. Derek Queen gives it to Herb Jones. Here comes Herb Jones. Misses the basket. Rebound goes to Miami. Here comes Davion Mitchell. Mitchell looking for someone to give it to. And he gets fouled by Jeremiah Fears. So that should be a side out or be 2 free throws. All right, so Davion Mitchell will go to the line for 2 free throws. Mitchell missing the first one. And Mitchell goes 1 of 2 from the line. All right, here comes Sadiq Bey. Sadiq Bey driving into the lane. Blocked by Bam, and here come the Heat. Yaka Jr. gives it a Hawkins for the emphatic dunk, and I think that's going to do it right there. Miami now has a 10-point lead. Jaime Hawkins Jr. with 23 points, shooting 10 for 22 from the field. And that's another miss for New Orleans. Rebound goes to Bam. And I think that's going to be another foul on New Orleans. All right, so Bam is at the line. He knocks down the first free throw. And Bam makes both free throws. And that's going to do it. The Miami Heat come out on top over the New Orleans Pelicans, 123 to 111. Yes, this is a bounce back game for Miami. And even though it's against a lottery team that's tanking right now in the New Orleans Pelicans, I think this is a much needed win this is a win that's going to boost morale. And going back to 2 nights ago against Utah, that was a game they should not have lost. Because right now Miami should have been on at least a 3-game win streak. They should have been on a 3-game win streak right now. Because you had the victory over Washington. They should have won against Utah. And here against New Orleans. Excuse me. So this game really was all about a team effort. And defense was on full display for Miami, as well as rebounding and getting second chance points. Miami, a horrible loss against Utah. So this was a much needed win for them. But it's going to be a long climb out of the play-in. That is for certain. That's for sure. It's still going to be a long climb out of the play-in for Miami. But right now, even though it's against the Pelicans, I still say a win is a win. And the Pelicans were very competitive down the stretch. Zion Williamson, Jeremiah Fears, Herb Jones, Bryce McGovern. Bryce McGowens. I need to start calling him McGoverns. Bryce McGowens, and that's about it. The Pelicans, even though they went on a few runs, especially the one late in the fourth quarter, Miami needed a basket or two to help them out, and they found that with Simone Fontecchio. So that was a much needed basket for them, and the Heat truly thrived on defense and attacking the rim. So there was a lot of points being made in the paint from both teams. So it was a downright physical game. It was high scoring, but it was still physical nonetheless. All right, for the Miami Heat, Simone Fontecchio had 15 points. Jaime Hawkins Jr. came off the bench with 23 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists. Casper Siaka Jr. lit it up with 11 points, 2 rebounds, and 4 assists. Iron Gardner almost had a double-double with 8 points and 10 rebounds. And we also have a pair of double-doubles. Kelly Ware with 16 points and 12 rebounds, and Bam Adebayo with 27 points and 14 rebounds. And for the New Orleans Pelicans, Zion Williamson, he led the way for his team with 25 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. Trey Murphy III had 19 points. Sadiq Bey had a near double-double of 14 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists. Bryce McGowens came off the bench with 12 points, 1 rebound, and 3 assists. Jeremiah Fears, he had a double-double of 13 points and 11 rebounds. So, another win for Miami, even though it comes against a lottery draft pick team like New Orleans. But a win is a win. So the next time we see the Heat, well, it's going to be All-Star Weekend for Miami, which means we're going to see Kashad Johnson, Kelly Ware, Jameer Young, and Norman Powell in All-Star Weekend action. So that's going to be a bit of a reprieve for Miami, especially with their season so far. So that's some good news for Miami. They enter All-Star break with a win, and that should give them some breathing space, some days to recover, because they'll be back in action next week as they hit the road to the ATL to take on the Atlanta Hawks. That game starts Friday, February the 2nd, and you can catch that on NBA League Pass and FanDuel Sports Network Sun. Again, after the All-Star break, it's the Heat heading up to the Peach State to take on the Atlanta Hawks. That's Friday, February the 20th on 7:30 p.m. And you can watch that on NBA League Pass and FanDuel Sports Network Sun. I want to thank you guys for another edition of Heat Zone Live. Most of you, or any of you wanted to look at the scoreboard or hear the play-by-play, I appreciate it. So, with that said, I want to say be kind to one another, treat each other with respect and love, give love, and hope it's reciprocated back to you tenfold, and it spreads all over. because you never know when that day comes. You never know when that day comes or how that person is feeling on the inside. Or they just need someone to talk to. So be kind to somebody, be there for somebody, and be empathetic towards someone's feelings. Because you never know what they're going through and how you may save their life. I'm Deron Butler, reminding you to always run through the paint. Take care. God bless. I love each and every one of you. And as always, go Heat. I'll see you guys February the 2nd. February the 20th. That should be what? That's next week. Yeah. I'll see you guys next Friday. See you guys next Friday when the Heat take on the Hawks. Go Heat.